No disrespect, Tay, to your quarterbacks at all. No disrespect to them. But you don't have any household names at the quarterback positions. How will you go about approaching this season knowing that you may not have as many opportunities that you may have had in the past?
Ladies and gentlemen, Raiders wide receiver Davante Adams just hinted at who he prefers this year at quarterback. Plus, former Raiders quarterback Brian Hoyer, he's chiming in on the Raiders quarterback competition. I don't know why. And the Raiders running back room is gaining more hype. Some of these guys look absolutely jacked. We are finally back from vacation now that the season is starting. Let's break down some of the latest Raiders stories right now, starting with this one. The Raiders defensive line has been gaining a ton of hype this past offseason. It could quite possibly be the best defensive line this team has had in decades. Obviously, Max Crosby is a critical reason. Tyree Wilson, the former first-round pick at pick 7 in 2023, he's expected to make a second-year jump due to the fact that he was struggling with injuries in his rookie season. New defensive tackle from the Miami Dolphins, Christian Wilkins, has also been gaining some hype, even though the New York Giants on Hard Knocks threw some shade at the brand new Raiders interior defensive lineman.
Same thing. This is Dexter's best friend. I don't think he's a difference-making pass rusher on third down. That's what we need opposite Dex.
The gist is that the Giants, while scouting Christian Wilkins on Hard Knocks, claim that he's only a good run defender, doesn't have pass rushing traits. This will give the defensive lineman a chip on his shoulder to prove people like the New York Giants scouting staff completely wrong. But the main reason, in my opinion, why there is so much hype for the Raiders defensive line right now is the emergence of Malcolm Koonce. Malcolm Koonce was selected in the third round by the Raiders in 2021, and we haven't seen much from the guy. He hasn't had much of an opportunity until towards the end of last year when he was finally able to get more reps and he really shined. And now you have people like Brian Baldy of Baldy's Breakdowns hyping up this Raiders pass rusher.
All right, Malcolm misses him. Max is chasing him. Come on. Malcolm finishes him. And flags are flying. Malcolm Koonce finished the season looking like a Raider.
Malcolm Koonce was a great surprise last year, and I bet the Raiders would not have selected Tyree Wilson at pick 7 in 2023 if they knew Koonce was going to be this special, and that is why you have these latest reports now where you have an NFL analyst of Pro Football Network, Anthony Dibonia, claiming that the Raiders may trade Malcolm Koonce because he's in the final year of his contract. Here's the big statement: the Raiders are in a tough situation as Koonce is heading into the final year of his rookie contract, like I just said. And given the fact that they have Tyree Wilson, Koonce could be traded before he signs elsewhere in free agency. So no matter what, the Raiders have to decide what they're going to do. They could either A, give Malcolm Koonce a contract extension, or let him test free agency, or perhaps this suggestion, which would be to have Malcolm Koonce be traded by the middle of the year. Personally, I'm tired of seeing great Raiders players leave or test free agency. I think the Raiders should give this guy a contract extension. After all, the Raiders should have plenty of cap space since they're not spending big money at the quarterback position. By the way, this heat wave is crazy right now. Let me know where you're at right now and what temperature it is. This is why my eyes are red. It's nothing else. The Raiders are also not spending big money at the running back position as they let Josh Jacobs walk and test free agency, but you now have the emergence of Zeus, Zamir White, the former 4th round pick out of Georgia in 2022. And he just posted a picture to give us an update on his physique. And this guy looks absolutely insane right now. Check it out. Zeus on Instagram posting himself. This dude looks like Derrick Henry 2.0, absolutely jacked. He's letting us know that he's in the lab. And I definitely don't think any DB is going to want to tackle this guy. This is not the first time that the Raiders running back Zeus let us know that he's getting jacked. Check out this video of him working out. You can tell the guy is pumped up that he's finally getting an opportunity to be the #1 running back on the team rather than sitting behind Josh Jacobs. And you know he's taking advantage of the opportunity. He's showing it with his progress in the weight room, gaining tons of muscle. And a lot of people around the NFL don't know how important this guy was in the victory against the Kansas City Chiefs on Christmas. I think Zamir White is going to have a big year this year. But Zamir White is not that big of a pass catcher, and that is why the Raiders drafted Dylan Laube in the 6th round of 2024. This guy apparently has more college receiving yards than the 1st round pick Xavier Leggett. And honestly, I think he's able to speak a little more clearly than Xavier Leggett.
Oh no, man, I woke up ready, man. I got a call right after I got dressed. They was coming to pick me up at 9:30 in the morning. I told them I'm gonna be ready.
There ain't nobody see it, nobody don't even happen. You know, the baby's born into this world and they don't got to.
He also has more college receiving yards than new Bills wide receiver Keon Coleman and new Chargers wide receiver Ladd McConkey. This running back was a standout at the Senior Bowl. I've been impressed by some of his tape and play on the field. The guy has great burst, and I feel like his style, this receiving style of back, is a perfect complement to somebody like Zamir White. Davante Adams is looking for his perfect complement, which would be a great quarterback that can get him the football this year. It's narrowing down between Gardner Minshew, the new free agent acquisition, and Aidan O'Connell, the young Raiders 2023 draft pick, who's now entering his 2nd year. And what Davante Adams said this week on Undisputed with Skip Bayless has made me question who I think the QB1 is going to be this year. Some of the latest reporting we've had on this QB battle has made it seem lock and lock with a slight edge to O'Connell.
My sense is that O'Connell will have a slight edge going into training camp because year 2, he's been more vocal. He's acting like a starter. He's got the stamp of approval from Davante Adams, who loves him. That always helps a little bit when you got your top pass catcher has your back. I've told Gardner Minshew has also made quite the impression. Showed a lot of moxie. He's going off script. He's changing plays in the huddle already. He's learning the offense that quickly. And so it could very well be a situation in July and August where they split preseason games.
So this is going to be a true QB battle. O'Connell's going into year 2, already knows some of the teammates. That gives him a little edge, but Gardner Minshew is doing what Minshew does, showing some moxie, making plays off script, and being able to audible at the line of scrimmage. Obviously, he has more NFL experience than Aidan O'Connell. Plus, Gardner Minshew having $15 million guaranteed, making significantly more money than Aidan O'Connell, has given Minshew an edge in the betting markets. The betting markets have Gardner Minshew as the favorite to beat Aidan O'Connell and be the Raiders starting quarterback in week 1. But you have a former Raider, and this guy is not the most loved former Raider, Brian Hoyer, who was Josh McDaniels' QB last year, even started in front of Aidan O'Connell in the Bears game, and that was an absolute disaster. But the now more retired quarterback, Hoyer, has been hyping up Aidan O'Connell, and he believes this guy's going to be the starter this year.
You know, maybe I'm biased, but I think, you know, what Aidan did last year, I know he hasn't shown it as much as Gardner Minshew has throughout his career, but I know the guys really gravitated to the way Aidan took over and his leadership as a young player.
There's a theme that we see here. Yes, Aidan O'Connell has not proven it on the football field as much as Gardner Minshew because he's had a shorter career, but there is something going on in the background, in the locker room, that most of us fans don't get to see. Hoyer is explaining that players gravitated towards Aidan O'Connell, dealing with that rough season when Josh McDaniels got fired in the middle of the year. And you had ESPN's Jeremy Fowler talk about how it's year 2 for Aidan O'Connell. He knows the guys, Davante knows him, that gives him an edge. And now you have Davante Adams being asked about the quarterback position.
No disrespect, Tay, to your quarterbacks at all. No disrespect to them. But you don't have any household names at the quarterback position. So I'm feeling like there's going to be a whole lot of dungy ball, running the football, dinking and dunking this year and playing defense. And if that's the case, how will you go about approaching this season knowing that you may not have as many opportunities that you may have had in the past?
So obviously this question was going to be asked to Davante Adams. Hey, you don't have a superstar at QB. How are you going to feel about that? Probably going to be less deep balls, probably going to be less targets. But Davante Adams right here in this moment went on to talk about his own career and how he struggled the first few years, and you never know how a certain player player is going to turn out after a few years. And then he said something pretty interesting to me that I think shows who he prefers in the QB competition.
I don't like to count anybody out until they all the way out. So I see a lot of promise in Aidan right now, and the rest of the guys are going to keep working, and we'll figure out a way to make this thing work.
I see a lot of promise in Aidan right now, but he's asked about the lackluster QB room, and his response is to say that somebody could develop into a star, and then he starts talking about Aidan O'Connell, doesn't mention Gardner Minshew at all. Plus, we just had that ESPN Jeremy Fowler report that we showed you earlier, where it states that the guys gravitate towards Aidan O'Connell, mainly Davante Adams, because he knows him after a year. And what Davante Adams is about to say right now, I think tells us what's going to happen this year.
What did Aidan O'Connell show you last year as a fourth-round rookie?
We came in with a different level of confidence, man, and Aidan's on his way. He came in with a different level of confidence. Wasn't all, shaken up at the fact he's throwing to Davante or Jacoby. It was just kind of like playing football, and that type of confidence is what kind of got me, believing in him.
That kind of confidence is what got me believing in him. Davante Adams saying that he believes in Aidan O'Connell, and I watched this whole entire interview. I did not hear much about Gardner Minshew at all, and I think that tells you something when Davante Adams' mind naturally goes to Aidan O'Connell, not really mentioning the other guy too much. Yes, we know that Gardner Minshew is getting paid more money, but some of these latest reports about minicamp kind of show that there's a big opportunity for Aidan O'Connell, despite the fact that he doesn't get all the cash. During minicamp, there were reports that the Raiders QB battle got off to a slow start. Now, we know this is not as intense as regular training camp. It's really low key. Sometimes it's just walkthroughs, so you can't make too big of a deal about this, but people expected one of the Raiders quarterbacks to take a big jump over the other one. And you have this report by Tashawn Reed of The Athletic saying that there isn't much separating Aidan O'Connell and Gardner Minshew in the race to become the starting quarterback. They split reps fairly evenly with the first team offense throughout OTAs, and while they've both taken quickly to offensive coordinator Luke Getsy's system, neither stood out much during practice. The big point is that one did not stand out over the other, and this is going to be a battle that goes throughout preseason, which means, hey, the Raiders are going to have an entertaining preseason because we're going to be finding out who the starting QB is through preseason. But I believe this is good news for Aidan O'Connell, because if you got two guys who are neck and neck, not one is standing out over the other, then obviously a team would be more likely to go with the young guy, a guy who can have more potential and promise and is on that cheap bargain rookie contract for now. If the veteran who's getting paid is not standing out much more over the young QB, you're obviously going to go with the young guy. And the locker room is behind him, and I think that's a big deal. Plus, O'Connell keeps doing things to win over the locker room. Just recently in May, remember, he changed his number from number 4, a number that was given to him by genius Josh McDaniels without any input from Aidan O'Connell, and he said it felt disrespectful towards Derek Carr, so he switched it to number 12, the Kenny Stabler number, the Rich Gannon number. That's what he decided to do, and it's also Aaron Rodgers' number from the Green Bay Packers. Maybe that made Davante Adams too happy, but I felt like Aidan O'Connell doing this, talking about it on Max Crosby's podcast, just shows that he's taking more steps to win over the locker room, and he cares about the vibes inside the building. We are back, baby, from a much needed break. We're going to be breaking down Raiders content almost every single day and some of my favorite NFL stories around the league. Subscribe to this channel for more content from me, Wi-Fi Willie. Peace out, and I hope you have a good one.